The Seven Wonders of the Ancient World. 2,500 years ago, people started becoming very curious about what people in other places were doing. Sailors and merchants would often return from their voyages with exciting stories about things they had seen. Ancient Greek and Roman tourists visited these amazing landmarks, which are now called the Seven Wonders of the Ancient World. All of them were around the Mediterranean Sea. What makes these buildings and statues so amazing is that the stonemasons, architects, sculptors, metalworkers and engineers who built them did not have the tools and machines we have today. They built them with the very simple tools that they had back then. Let's take a look at each of these truly wonderful buildings and statues. The Pharos of Alexandria was a great lighthouse. It was built when the king of Egypt was King Ptolemy, and it was finished in 280 BC. The waters around the island of Pharos were very dangerous, and there were lots of shipwrecks. This great lighthouse was built so that the ships could see where they were going. It was built on the island of Pharos, not far from Alexandria. What made this lighthouse so impressive was that the light from its fire could be seen 50 kilometers away. How did this happen? Well, the person who designed it was very clever and put lots of mirrors under the fire to reflect the flames. Of course, there was no electricity back then, so making such a bright light was amazing. Many lighthouses built after that were copies of this famous lighthouse. In 796 AD, a big earthquake damaged the Pharos. You can still see where it used to be, because the bottom part of it is still there. In the 4th century BC, a big tomb was built in Halicarnassus. Halicarnassus is in present-day Turkey. This tomb was built for the Persian governor Mausolus. The mausoleum at Halicarnassus is one of the Seven Wonders because it was so big and so beautifully decorated. It had big stone sculptures all around it. In the 13th century AD, the mausoleum was destroyed in an earthquake and was later demolished. In ancient Babylonia, in the 7th century BC, there lived a king and his beautiful wife. The king was Nebuchadnezzar II, and his queen was Amytis. Queen Amytis wasn't from Babylonia. She came from Persia. She missed Persia, and sometimes she felt homesick. King Nebuchadnezzar II built her some beautiful gardens so that she could remember her home in Persia. These gardens had many terraces and lots of plants and trees. Small streams ran through the garden, bringing water to all the plants and trees that grew there. It was so beautiful and so well planned that the Hanging Gardens of Babylon became another wonder of the ancient world. The pyramids of Giza in Egypt are the oldest of the 7 wonders, and the only one which can still be seen today. There are 3 pyramids. The Great Pyramid was built by Pharaoh Khufu in 2560 BC. He built it so that they would put him there after he died. The Great Pyramid took 20 years to build. More than 2 million blocks of stone were used. The other 2 pyramids are smaller and were built by the pharaohs Khafre and Menkore. They are wonderful. That's why so many people want to see them. The ancient Egyptians built their pyramids from the center outward. Another wonder of the ancient world is the statue of Zeus. In 456 BC, a sculptor, Phidias, built a statue of Zeus. The statue was 13 meters high and was made of ivory and gold. The statue of Zeus held a figure of the goddess of victory. A temple was built around the statue at Olympia in Greece. In AD 394, the statue was moved to Constantinople, which is now called Istanbul. It was later destroyed and replaced with icons of Jesus Christ. In 560 BC, a temple was built for Artemis. She was the goddess of hunting, chastity, and childbirth. The temple had 27 decorated columns and was very big. It was built in the form of a rectangle. 2 sides were 52 meters long, and the other 2 sides were 112 meters. The temple doesn't exist today. It was destroyed in 263 AD. The last of the 7 wonders is the Colossus of Rhodes. The Colossus was a huge statue of the Greek sun god Helios. It stood near the harbour of the island of Rhodes in Greece. The statue was 33 meters high, and it was made of bronze and iron. It was the biggest statue of its time. It was about the same size as the Statue of Liberty in New York. Sadly, an earthquake toppled the Colossus in 225 BC, only 65 years after it was built.